it says he wasn't killed nor
And so where is it?
crucified, but he was raised up to heaven.
Well, you know what the sad thing is? It doesn't say heaven. They're deceiving you. I'm going to give you two ayat from the Quran. Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 55, and I'll read it for you if you want. And Surah Al-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 158. So you write them down. When Allah said, "O Jesus, indeed, I will take you and raise you to myself and purify you from those who disbelieve." Now, 4:158, it says, "Nay, but Allah raised him to himself." The Quran doesn't say Jesus was taken to heaven. The Quran says Allah raised Jesus, took Jesus to himself. Where's Allah?
They said in his throne.
Okay, where's Jesus if Allah took Jesus to himself?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, the Quran says it. Here, let me read it. Nay, Allah took him up to himself. Jesus was taken to Allah. Wherever Allah is, that's where Jesus went. That means if Allah is on the throne, Jesus is on the throne, and he's been there for 2,000 years. What in the world is Jesus doing with Allah on the throne for 2,000 years when even Muhammad is dead and buried in the tomb?
I don't know.
Exactly. You won't know. You know why you won't know?
Why?
Because you're following the false religion. If you come to the truth, you will know. In fact, I'm going to give you some more questions. I'm not debating you. And if you don't have an answer, it's okay. I want you to think about it. You know, the only woman mentioned by name in the entire Quran is Mary, the mother of Christ, right? Maryam.
Yes.
And you know that in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 42, it says that Maryam is the greatest woman, that Allah preferred her and purified her and chose her above all women, right?
Yes.
And you know, according to Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, it says, according to your prophet, this is the tafsir, the exposition, the interpretation of chapter 3, verse 36, where Mary's mother prayed to Allah, and he goes, I entrust her and her offspring. I entrust Mary, my daughter, and her offspring to you to be protected from the accursed Satan. And then Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim state that your prophet said that Satan touches, pricks all the children of Adam when they're born, except Mary and her son.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now follow me. Mary and Jesus are the only human beings Satan could not touch, but that means he touched your prophet. Mary and Jesus, right, are the only human beings in the Quran said to be pure and sinless. Mary is the only woman mentioned by name in the entire Quran. Not even your prophet's mother or his wives or the wives of anyone or the mothers of anyone are mentioned. Mary is the best woman Allah made. Mary has an entire chapter named in her honor. So my question to you, why is Mary so honored? Pure, like her son is pure. The only woman mentioned by name, has an entire chapter named in her honor. The greatest woman Allah created. What makes her so special? If Muhammad is the best, how come his mother is not mentioned? She's not the best. She's not preferred. And according to Sahih Muslim, she's in hell.
Who is in hell? His mother?
Yes, that's in Sahih Muslim.
Yes, I read something that there's some narrations that the Prophet cried for his mother because she
Sahih
was,
Muslim.
yeah.
I have it in my articles. Sahih Muslim, and it says
also,
in Sahih Muslim.
if you look at Noah, or Nu in Arabic, his wife and his son were disbelievers.
Good, because they're not as great as Jesus. So what makes Mary great? You're making my point.
The same thing about her being pure is like how Jesus was created without a father, but then somebody could say Adam was created without a mother or father. So what would make him great?
Okay, let me show you why that's a silly argument. Was Adam the first man?
Yes.
Could he have parents?
No.
Was Eve the first woman?
Yes.
Could she have a mother?
No, her father.
So why was Jesus born of a virgin when it wasn't necessary? He could have been born to human parents. So why was he born of a virgin then?
I don't know, but I guess there's different prophets for different reasons. So
none of them
that's just
have the qualities of Jesus. None of them. Show me in the Quran where someone other than Jesus is said to be pure and his mother pure. Show me that. Show me in the Quran where someone besides Jesus was born of a virgin. Adam and Eve, bad argument, because Adam could not have parents. He's the first man. Eve, first woman. She couldn't have a mother. But for Jesus, he could have been born the natural way, like your prophet was born the natural way, like Abraham. But for some reason, God decides to cause Jesus to be born miraculously, and yet you Muslims don't know why. And then on top of that, the Quran and Hadith call Jesus Kalimat Allah, Ruh Allah, the word of Allah and the spirit of Allah. And it says
there's also it's called the Rasul, the one who comes.
And Rasul is common to everyone, right? Book. Okay, in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 163 and 164, a list of names are given, and they're said to be Rasul. meaning apostles. So what I'm trying to say is this term Rasul, is it only one
that
person?
was the Nabi. I think Nabi is the one.
Not in Surah An-Nisa. It doesn't say Nabi. I know your argument. There it doesn't say Nabi. It says Rasul. You're missing the point. Is there only one prophet, or there are many people called prophets?
There are many prophets, many messengers.
Okay, now can you show me someone besides Jesus called the Word of Allah?
I don't know.
There is none. So again, according to your Quran, what makes Jesus so special that he's the only one called the Word of Allah and the Spirit of Allah? And that his mother's.
Well, when I ask other Muslims, they say it's just one of the miracles, like of God, that he would create a human being without a father.
Oh, wait. So he's called the Word of Allah because he was created by Allah, his Word?
I don't know.
Yeah, they don't know either. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to make sense, because that still doesn't explain to me, of all the people, Jesus is born of a virgin. He's the Word of Allah sent to Mary, a spirit from him. He is pure. Mary is the only woman mentioned by name. She's the greatest of all women. She is poor. And all of a sudden, all of that it's a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. It's just this one individual. And related to that, can you show me someone other than Jesus and Allah in the Quran that creates from clay and breathes life into that clay and makes it a living being?
There is none, but there were other prophets who performed miracles like Moses.
Show me where they created like Allah. Allah is the only one who creates from clay and breathes life into it along with Jesus. See how you're trying to denigrate this miracle that even your Quran doesn't ascribe to him, but Allah and Jesus? That's not going to get you far. Can you show me where someone besides Jesus creates exactly like Allah does? And why is Jesus breathing life? Yeah, the verb is create. It's khalaqa.
Well, in the Bible, it says, like, Jesus says, like, I can't do anything except with the power, permission of God.
That's not what he says. You misquoted him. But you sure you want to go to Jesus? Because if I quote that, it's going to prove Jesus is Muhammad's God.
But I'm just wondering why, if God came to earth, why he would need the permission of God if he is God.
Because if he is not the only person of God, but he's the son of the Father, you want him to dishonor the Father and disrespect him?
I wouldn't know if that's disrespect or not, because I'm not understanding the...
Okay. Jesus is not the Father. So he's the Father's Son who's one with him in nature. So if the Father sends him, what do you want him to do? Say, hey, Dad, you know what? Because I'm God, I'm going to do what I want. I don't need to listen to you.
Like, because somebody like Jesus, who is limited because he needed to ask God for permission and for help.
See, again, you're confusing permission with ability. See, you're twisting it. Here, do you drive?
Yes.
Okay. If I give you permission to drive my car, does that mean I'm giving you the ability to drive it?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me repeat it again, because I said it too fast. I give you permission to drive my car. Does that mean I gave you the ability to drive my car? Or I'm assuming that you have the ability and I'm permitting you to use your ability.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're giving me the ability.
So now can you show me either in the Bible or in the Quran where it says God gave Jesus the ability as opposed to God permitting Jesus to exercise his divine power and ability?
I don't know.
It doesn't. Because I'll tell you what the Quran says. Bi ithni Allah means by the permission of Allah. By the permission of Allah is not quwwa or quwwa power.
Okay.
But can I go to that verse that you quoted that you said Jesus had to be given power? I want to read it in context, if you don't mind. I'll go back to the Bible. John 5:19. Then Jesus answered and said to them, most surely I say to you, now here's what you were quoting. The Son can do nothing of himself, but let's finish it. But what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. So notice what Jesus said. I cannot do anything on my own initiative. I can only do what the Father does, and I do whatever the Father does. Now, I want to ask you a question. Can a creature say, I cannot do anything except what God does, and whatever God does, I do it the same way that God does it?
No, because a human being cannot do what God does.
But Jesus just said exactly what you just read. So can you quote any angel, Jibreel, or your prophet saying, I cannot do a single thing on my own initiative. I can only do what Allah does, and whatever Allah does, that's what I do.
No.
So does this sound like a mere man talking or someone who thinks he's God in the flesh, one with the Father?